Sister Wives Caught in Lies. Christine's book exposes how they deceived TLC and viewers for years. Christine Brown's new memoir has sent shockwaves through the Sister Wives fandom. For years, fans suspected that not everything shown on the TLC reality series was authentic, and now Christine is confirming their worst fears. In her book, she pulls back the curtain on what life was really like inside the plural family, and the picture she paints is far from the polished image the Browns tried to sell on camera. According to Christine, the family wasn't just hiding little details to protect privacy. They were deliberately deceiving both TLC producers and the millions of viewers who tuned in week after week. She reveals how Cody, Robin, and even the other wives played along with storylines that didn't match reality, creating a version of their family that was more marketable than truthful. One of the biggest revelations is that the Browns presented themselves as a united, cooperative plural family, but Christine says that unity was largely a facade. Behind closed doors, there was constant jealousy, tension, and competition. TLC cameras often showed them gathered happily around the dinner table, but Christine writes that those dinners were rare and sometimes staged specifically for filming. Off-camera, many family members ate separately, avoiding each other because the atmosphere was so strained. Christine also exposes how Cody insisted on controlling the family's image. He allegedly pressured the wives to downplay their struggles and to emphasize their faith in plural marriage, even when some of the women were privately miserable. Christine admits she often felt trapped, but she played along because she didn't want to be the one to ruin the family's reputation. She says that whenever anyone wanted to be more transparent, Cody would remind them that TLC was watching, and that honesty could damage the family's chances of keeping the show. The book also uncovers shocking details about Robin's introduction into the family. Viewers were told that everyone welcomed her with open arms, but Christine confesses that the truth was very different. She recalls feeling instantly threatened by Robin's relationship with Cody, but producers encouraged her to downplay her discomfort. Scenes showing Christine crying were framed as her struggling with jealousy, but Christine now reveals that she felt the entire narrative was manipulated. What wasn't shown was how Robin allegedly received special treatment from Cody from day one, with privileges the other wives never had. Another lie exposed is about the infamous Coyote Pass land. For years, the Browns told viewers they were working together toward a dream of building homes on the property, but Christine writes that the vision was never truly shared. While TLC filmed hopeful conversations about the future, Christine claims that Cody already knew the plan was unrealistic. She says he kept dangling the dream to keep the wives invested in him and in the show, even though he had no real plan to make it work. For Christine, the constant talk about Coyote Pass felt like a carrot on a stick, something to keep her distracted from her growing dissatisfaction. Christine also addresses financial secrets. On the show, the family often portrayed themselves as a team who pooled resources and supported one another. In reality, Christine says that money was a major source of conflict. She alleges that Robin received financial advantages that weren't shown on camera, including help with her online business and special access to family funds. Christine confesses that she often felt financially insecure, even while viewers were being told that everything was evenly shared. Perhaps the most damning revelation in Christine's book is how much of her own suffering was edited out. TLC presented her as quirky, funny, and sometimes insecure, but Christine writes that her struggles were much deeper. She endured years of loneliness and neglect, particularly after Cody shifted nearly all his attention to Robin. Scenes that showed Christine trying to put on a brave face often masked the fact that she was breaking down behind the scenes. According to Christine, producers were aware of her pain but chose not to highlight it because it didn't fit the upbeat narrative they wanted to sell. Christine also exposes the deception around Cody's authority in the household. On the show, Cody is often portrayed as overwhelmed but trying his best to balance multiple wives. In reality, Christine claims he was far more controlling than viewers realized. She says he micromanaged decisions about the children, finances, and even personal choices, while the wives had to make sacrifices that weren't fully acknowledged on screen. For Christine, the hardest part was realizing that Cody never treated her as an equal partner, despite what viewers were led to believe. The book also touches on how TLC itself played a role in perpetuating these lies. Christine reveals that producers sometimes suggested lines or reactions to help create drama or smooth over conflict. While the Browns technically had control over what they shared, the pressure to entertain audiences often led them to present half-truths or outright fabrications. Christine writes that this made her feel complicit in deceiving fans, something that weighed on her conscience for years. One specific example she mentions is family therapy sessions shown on the series. While viewers believed these were authentic moments of healing, Christine says that many of them were orchestrated. Real issues were often left unaddressed, while minor disagreements were exaggerated for storylines. Christine now admits that the so-called progress shown in those sessions rarely translated to real change at home. Christine's memoir also exposes how TLC carefully edited Cody's relationships with the wives. Viewers saw ups and downs, but Christine claims the editing minimized how bad things truly were. She reveals that her marriage with Cody had been essentially over for years before she officially left, but the show continued to frame them as struggling spouses who still had hope. Christine says this was misleading not just to the audience, but also to her children, who sometimes believed the TV version more than the reality. Fans have long accused the show of protecting Cody's image, and Christine seems to confirm it. She suggests that Cody had a close relationship with producers and was able to influence how he was portrayed. This, she says, often left her feeling silenced while Cody came across as the reasonable leader of a complex family. Christine now believes that this imbalance allowed Cody to maintain power both on and off camera, while the wives bore the brunt of criticism from viewers. Another major deception Christine reveals is about her own departure. On the show, her decision to leave Cody was presented as a gradual process, but Christine admits she had been planning it much longer than anyone knew. She says she stayed quiet because she feared backlash from fans and because she was contractually obligated not to reveal too much. When she finally did leave, TLC presented it as a shocking twist, but Christine insists the writing had been on the wall for years. Christine's confessions also shine a light on the emotional toll of living a double life. She explains how exhausting it was to smile for cameras while knowing the truth at home was very different. For her, the constant deception created a sense of guilt that only lifted once she finally broke free from the marriage and the family's carefully constructed image. Fans who have read the memoir are calling it a bombshell, and many say it confirms what they suspected all along, that the Browns were not as honest as they appeared. Christine's decision to expose the lies has sparked heated debates online. Some fans feel betrayed, saying they invested years watching a show built on dishonesty. Others are grateful that Christine is finally speaking her truth and giving viewers a more accurate picture of what was happening behind the scenes. The fallout from Christine's revelations could be massive. If TLC knowingly allowed these deceptions, it raises questions about the integrity of the show moving forward. Will fans continue to watch, knowing how much was fabricated? And what does this mean for Cody, Robin, Mary, and Janelle, whose own accounts may now be called into question? Christine's book doesn't just expose lies, it redefines how viewers see the entire Sister Wives franchise. The image of a large, loving, cooperative plural family has been shattered, replaced by a story of favoritism, manipulation, and hidden pain. For Christine, telling the truth may finally bring healing. For the rest of the family, however, the damage may be permanent. What's clear is that Sister Wives will never be viewed the same way again. Fans now know that the version they saw on TV was carefully curated, and that behind the scenes, reality was far more complicated and painful. Christine's memoir is not just a personal story, it's a revelation that changes everything we thought we knew about the Brown family. And as more fans get their hands on the book, the conversation is only just beginning. Did the Browns betray their viewers, or were they simply caught up in the demands of reality television? Either way, the truth is out, and Christine isn't holding back anymore. Robin Brown's eldest daughters are breaking their silence, and what they are revealing about life inside the Sister Wives family is both heartbreaking and eye-opening. For years, fans speculated that Robin and her children never fully fit in with the rest of the Browns, but now the girls themselves are speaking out. According to them, some of the family members didn't just make them feel like outsiders, they were directly told they weren't accepted. This confession adds a whole new layer to the ongoing Sister Wives drama. Fans already knew there was tension when Robyn joined the family, but the extent of the rejection toward her children is far worse than most people realized. Her daughters, Aurora and Brianna, now say they lived in a household where being the new kids wasn't just uncomfortable, it was painful. When Robyn married Kody Brown in 2010, she didn't just bring herself into the plural family. She brought her 3 children from her first marriage, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. On the show, TLC often framed their arrival as a heartwarming story of blending families. Kody legally adopted the children, and it was presented as a new chapter of love and acceptance. But according to Robyn's daughters, the reality was very different. They reveal that the promises of unity quickly fell apart behind the scenes. While cameras captured smiles, hugs, and the official adoption process, what the children felt in private was rejection. The girls claim that some of their new family members didn't bother to hide their disapproval. In fact, they say certain relatives went so far as to tell them outright that they weren't welcome or accepted as real Browns. For Aurora and Brianna, these words left lasting scars. Imagine being children, uprooted from your life, placed into a new, complicated family structure, only to be told you don't belong. According to them, this wasn't subtle tension or awkward distance, it was verbal confirmation that they would never be fully embraced. This revelation strikes at the very heart of the Sister Wives brand. The show was built on the idea of love, unity, and acceptance within a plural marriage. TLC sold the narrative of a big, blended family overcoming struggles to prove that plural marriage could work. But if Robyn's daughters are telling the truth, that image was just another illusion. Their testimony also sheds light on the deeper fractures in the Brown family. From the start, fans noticed the tension whenever Robyn appeared on screen. Christine, Janelle, and Mary often struggled to hide their feelings about Kody's obvious favoritism toward his youngest wife. But what viewers didn't see was how that tension trickled down to the children. Robyn's kids weren't just dealing with a new dad, they were navigating an environment where resentment toward their mother translated into rejection of them as well. Aurora and Brianna describe experiences that sound less like a family and more like a battle for belonging. They say the rejection wasn't limited to subtle cold shoulders. It was direct. Certain family members explicitly stated that they didn't view Robyn's kids as part of the real family. That kind of blunt dismissal left the girls isolated, confused, and struggling to figure out where they stood in the massive Brown household. This isn't just about sibling rivalry or the normal growing pains of a blended family. This is about children being told to their faces that they would never be fully accepted. And the impact of that kind of rejection lasts for years. Fans now understand why Robyn has always been so protective of her children on the show. The pain of hearing your daughters share stories like this is something no parent could easily forgive or forget. The daughter's statements also explain some of Robyn's most emotional scenes on Sister Wives. Viewers often saw her break down in tears, claiming her kids were struggling more than anyone realized. At the time, many fans dismissed it as Robyn being dramatic or playing the victim. But now, with these revelations, it seems Robyn may have been telling the truth all along. Her children weren't just having a tough time adjusting, they were facing direct rejection from the very people who were supposed to become their siblings and support system. For years, Robyn insisted that her children felt isolated. Now Aurora and Brianna are confirming that experience in their own words. This is not just a case of Robyn exaggerating. It's the lived reality of her kids. And it changes everything fans thought they knew about the dynamics inside the family. So why would anyone in the Brown family tell these children they weren't accepted? The answer lies in the long history of jealousy and division that plagued the Browns. From the moment Robyn arrived, she was treated differently. Kody showered her with attention that the other wives never received. He gave her more of his time, more emotional intimacy, and eventually, more power in the family. The other wives saw it, the older kids saw it, and resentment quickly grew. Unfortunately, that resentment didn't just land on Robyn. It spilled onto her children as well. For Aurora and Brianna, this meant growing up in a house where they were constantly reminded that their mother was controversial, and by extension, so were they. Even though Kody legally adopted them, even though the show presented them as equal members of the family, the daughters knew the truth, not everyone agreed. This rejection may also explain why Robyn's children have remained so close to her and so distant from the rest of the Browns. Unlike some of the older kids from the other wives, Robyn's children never seemed to build strong bonds with their half-siblings. Now, with this revelation, it makes sense. Why would they invest in relationships with people who told them they weren't truly accepted? The fallout of this confession is massive. Fans who once blamed Robyn for isolating herself now see another side to the story. If her daughters were being treated this way, it's understandable that she would retreat into her own small circle. It also raises questions about the other wives and their children. Did they know what was happening? Did they participate in the rejection, or did they turn a blind eye while their relatives excluded Robyn's kids? Aurora and Brianna's statements also force fans to reconsider Cody's role. As the father, it was his responsibility to make sure all his children felt equally loved and supported. But did he do enough? Or was he too focused on his relationship with Robyn to notice, or care, that her kids were being rejected? For critics, this revelation confirms what they've long suspected, that Cody's failure as a father wasn't just about neglecting his older children with the other wives. It was also about failing to protect Robyn's kids from rejection. The daughter's words strike at the very foundation of what Sister Wives was supposed to represent. The show wasn't just entertainment, it was meant to normalize plural marriage, to present it as a lifestyle built on love and acceptance. But if the truth is that even the children were excluded and directly told they weren't accepted, then the family's public image collapses. What's more, this isn't just a historical issue. The wounds from this rejection are still shaping the present. As the Brown family falls apart, with Christine gone, Janelle separated, and Mary distanced, Robyn and her children are left in a fractured household where unity is impossible. For Aurora and Brianna, the pain of being told they weren't accepted may explain why they are so fiercely loyal to their mother and why they remain skeptical of the rest of the family. Fans online are already reacting with outrage. Many are horrified that children were treated this way, pointing out that it was never their fault that Cody favored Robyn. Others feel this confession only makes the rest of the family look worse, especially those who always accused Robyn of playing the victim. Now, the victim narrative seems much more justified. What's clear is that this revelation changes how fans will watch old episodes of Sister Wives. Scenes that once looked like ordinary family tension now carry a darker undertone. When Robyn's kids seemed quiet, withdrawn, or overly attached to their mom, it may not have been shyness. It may have been the natural response of children who had already been told they didn't belong. This story is not just about Robyn's daughters. It's about what happens when jealousy and resentment poison a family to the point where innocent children bear the consequences. Aurora and Brianna's confession proves that the cracks in the Brown family ran much deeper than anyone knew. And it leaves fans wondering